The day my first love was forced to get engaged to me by her father. Her first love died in a car accident on the way to see her. After the engagement, she spent every night at different clubs, surrounded by rumors. She made me the biggest laughingstock in our circle. When I confronted Tina, she just gave a sarcastic smile. She said that since someone had to die for her to marry me, I should just deal with the grievances. Until an accident happened. Both Tina and I got a second chance, going back to the time just before the engagement. She didn't hesitate to take her first love's hand and broke off the engagement with me in front of everyone. Later, I announced the engagement would happen as planned. Tina coldly informed me that forcing her wouldn't work and she wouldn't attend the engagement party. I was silent, torn on whether or not to tell her that my new fiancée was her aunt. I was stunned as I watched this familiar scene unfold. Tina's grandma, sitting at the head of the table, opened her mouth calmly. Considering you'll be graduating from college soon, now seems like a good time to set an engagement date. It was then that I finally realized I had been given a second chance. Before I could sort through my jumbled thoughts, a familiar voice sounded beside me. I disagree. Tina, relaxed and at ease, spoke words completely different from her past life. I have someone I like, and it's not Ben. She glanced at me. This engagement isn't happening. I suddenly realized I wasn't the only one who had come back to life. Tina's grandma held back her anger. In what capacity are you challenging me? Tina smiled and looked at me, her tone casual. I said I don't like you, so why do you still want to marry me? Are you crazy? The next second, Tina's grandma threw her chopsticks at her. Bastard. Tina slowly stood up. You want me to marry him only for a child, right? Her smile was slightly teasing. Otherwise, why don't I just take him to a room tonight? She successfully angered her grandma. Her grandmother threw her water glass, hitting Tina on the forehead. The girl laughed self-deprecatingly and glanced at me without any emotion before leaving. Ben, go bring her back for grandma. Tina's grandma was breathing heavily as she urged me. With everyone's insistence, I reluctantly followed her out. I intended to go straight back to school. But as soon as I walked out of the restaurant, I ran into Tina and her first love, Eric. What now? Tina shielded Eric and watched me with detached eyes. In our past life, Eric got an anonymous text about our engagement and got into a car accident. Tina always believed I sent that text. I spoke in a businesslike manner. Grandma said to bring you back. Eric anxiously tugged at her sleeve. Tina, don't go back. Tina gently touched his face to comfort him before she turned to me and said, I already made myself clear. I'm not going to get engaged to you. Her impatience was evident. Also, please don't keep pestering me. Her determination actually gave me relief. In this life, I wouldn't have to be tied to her. Anyway, my feelings for Tina had already withered with each public humiliation she caused in our past life. I wanted to walk around them and head back to school. But Eric called out to me. Ben, could you promise me something? I stopped. Promise what? He bit his lip nervously. Promise not to bother Tina anymore. Last time, when I went to your dorm to check on things, I accidentally saw your journal. Didn't it say you liked Tina? Eric's voice was quiet but firm. I'm asking you, as Tina's current boyfriend, to stay away from her. I stepped closer, looking him in the eye. You went through my stuff? Back in high school, I always kept my journal in a drawer. Eric backed away, a bit intimidated. It was just a routine check. Tina frowned slightly, shielding him. Ease up, Ben. He didn't mean any harm. She quietly reassured him. He doesn't need to promise anything. I don't like him, so his bothering me is pointless. With that, she was ready to leave with Eric. That diary contained many things I couldn't speak of. How could he go through someone else's things without permission and act so calm about it? I chased them down the street, grabbing Eric's arm. Don't you think you owe an apology? Eric bit his lip stubbornly. I don't think I did anything wrong. I was amused by my own anger. Doesn't your upbringing tell you it's wrong to go through someone's stuff? Maybe the words hit harder than I thought. As soon as I said them, Eric's eyes welled up. Enough, Ben. Tina irritably yanked my hand away. The corner turn's red light turned green the next second. A car came speeding toward us. There wasn't enough time to dodge. Maybe it was the shadow of a past life, but Tina immediately pulled Eric aside. The car's screeching halt was alarmingly close. Luckily, I only got a slight scrape on my ankle and fell to the ground. "Eric, are you hurt?" Tina held Eric, relieved to find he was okay. They were so wrapped up in the moment that they didn't even notice the driver angrily pulling away. Once she confirmed Eric was unscathed, Tina finally regained composure and noticed me trying to get up from the ground. Under the streetlight's flicker, I lifted my head and made eye contact with her in silence. After a pause, she chuckled softly, curiosity piqued. "Do you think this is karma?" She always believed I was responsible for Eric's past life accident, despite my countless claims otherwise. I turned my gaze back from the pair walking away and stood up, ignoring the pain, brushing off the dirt. Thankfully, I no longer had feelings for her, and wouldn't be saddened by this. Later, Tina's grandpa frequently invited me over to their house. He kindly advised me against holding grudges with Tina. No matter what I said, he never seemed to budge. Tina is as willful now as ever. Her aunt is the only one who can control her. Tina's aunt, Linda, was also the true head of the family. She was the only one who shared her grandfather's original last name. The only time I crossed paths with her was probably about a year ago. I got drunk, played truth or dare, and ended up kissing a random woman at the table next to ours. When we met again, Tina introduced Linda as her aunt, and I wished I could just disappear. Linda's grandpa was chatting. Then suddenly, a mischievous glint appeared in his eyes. He clapped his hands and muttered to himself, "Let's do it this way." Back then, I had no clue what he meant. A week later, Linda's grandpa tricked me into going to her family's hotel. Dripping wet from the rain, he handed me a room key card, telling me to go up and wait because someone would bring me dry clothes soon. But when I opened the door and turned on the lights, I was completely stunned. An unusual smell filled the room. A woman was leaning on the headboard, not even looking up. Her voice was harsh. "Get out." It was Linda. I instantly realized what the smell was. I turned to open the door, but it didn't budge. It was clearly locked from outside. "What's going on, Linda's grandpa?" I said, "Get out. Don't you understand?" Her voice now tinged with impatience. I whimpered, "I want to leave too, but I can't open the door," I replied softly while anxiously twisting the handle. Linda paused in her breath, then footsteps approaching. "Why is it you?" She pulled my arm to face her. Only then did I feel her hand burning hot and tremble. "Auntie," I called obediently, trying to remind her who I was. Linda didn't answer, just stared at me. "I heard Tina broke off the engagement with you?" I nodded, not knowing why she was asking. She seemed to step closer, her eyelashes fluttered. "So you don't like her now?" Unknowingly inhaling quite a bit, my reaction was slow. Without overthinking, I sluggishly replied, "Nope." She chuckled, yet her tone seemed not to seek confirmation. "Is that right?" I looked up slowly, helpless and direct in my gaze. The gentle rise in room temperature brought a hint of restlessness, a kind of stifling heat I couldn't shake. Instinctively, I searched for a remedy. A faint smile played at Linda's lips as she brushed the side of my face with her hand. Feeling uneasy? I didn't respond but was fixated on her thin lips before me. I wondered if they'd be as cool as jelly fresh from the fridge. "Say something." Her emotions were turbulent in her eyes, yet the rational tone made me seem impatient. I lowered my head, holding her shoulders. Then her phone rang abruptly. Linda tooted, ready to toss it aside but paused when she saw the caller ID, eventually answering it. "Auntie, you're back?" It was Tina. A moment of clarity hit me. Meeting Linda's gaze, the action to kiss halted. Linda responded with a hum, her hand pressing against my neck, urging me towards her. The gap closed once more, our lips nearly touching. "Where are you, Auntie?" "I'll come find you," Tina's voice echoed from the phone. A flash of panic surged through me as I grabbed the fabric on Linda's shoulder, unintentionally bumping her collarbone. Linda hissed softly, "Be gentle, will you?" I murmured an apology, my head spinning. I didn't mean to. The phone went silent for a moment. "Auntie," Who are you talking to? I think I've heard that voice before. I tensed, eyes widening. Linda dropped a "your uncle-in-law" then hung up. I wasn't focused on that. I couldn't regain my senses, entirely consumed by the person before me. Linda led me further in, curiously asking as we moved, "Are you wanting something?" She sat at the bed's edge on my legs. I nodded earnestly, leaning down to kiss. Linda smiled, turning her head. "I'm too old to play the hit and run game once it's over." 6 years my senior, old enough to use "too old" as a description? So, if you won't take responsibility, I'll definitely call the cops. Got it? It felt like standing under a plum tree, throat parched, eyes hungry for the juicy fruit. Thirst can't be quenched by just looking, unless I get to taste it. After several assurances, the plum finally reached my lips. I kissed softly but pulled away almost immediately. Linda instinctively followed but stopped herself just before touching again. "If you're gonna be that half-hearted, don't bother." An easygoing tone softly coaxed me. "Open your mouth, lean in." I wrapped her neck, moving closer. This time, escaping easily wasn't an option. She held me fiercely. Meanwhile, Tina hung up and arrived at the front door, still pondering over the male voice from the call, which sounded familiar. She entered, lost in her thoughts. Seeing Linda's grandpa eating an apple on the sofa, he looked at her as if he'd seen a ghost. "Ah, Tina, why are you here?" "No classes today, so I came back to see you." Linda's grandpa realized something was wrong. Quickly checking his phone, he discovered he mistakenly sent the message meant for Tina to Linda. Now it's been over an hour. Linda's grandpa's mind went blank. He was supposed to set Tina up at the hotel, but things turned out differently. "Don't try to hook me up with Ben anymore." "Okay." Tina had prepped for her grandpa's lecture. But this time, unusually, he remained silent for a while before agreeing. "I'm thinking of matching Ben with your aunt instead." Tina froze, phone in hand. A complex set of emotions swelled. Years entangled with Ben made her subconsciously see him as her fiancé, her possession. Hearing he might marry someone else brought unexpected agitation. She coolly shut down the idea on Ben's behalf. Not gonna happen. Aunt didn't like Ben and he had someone else he liked. Linda's grandpa sneered. "Why do you care so much if you like Eric?" "I was planning on finding Eric when you got engaged, telling him about it so he'd give up completely." Tina froze. Her phone slipped from her hand. "What did you say?" "So, the message in my last life wasn't actually from Ben?" What she didn't know was that the aunt she looked down on was trying to bribe me. The Linda I knew was always quiet. I didn't understand the meaning behind these questions and conversations. She gently unclasped my tight grip on the pillow, fingers intertwining. Looking down at me, she asked, "Who am I?" I avoided the question. She forced me to look at her. Sweat dripped from her forehead, through her damp hair. Her clear eyes were incredibly alluring. She slowly asked, "Want to take a look in the mirror?" I reluctantly complied. "Linda, say it again." "Linda, how pathetic. Why didn't I just pass out like in the novels? I had to face all this wide awake." Luckily, I was turned away from Linda, pretending to be asleep. "Stop pretending, I know you're awake." Her soft voice shattered my carefully maintained composure. I shut my eyes, pretending to be dead till the end. Linda snickered softly. "Forget it." Then my wrist was grabbed. I instantly flared up, opening my eyes. "Awake?" She stared at me. My ears grew warm. I pressed my lips and said nothing. Linda got up, loosely wrapping her robe. She went to the cabinet and lit up the phone. A few seconds later, she turned the screen towards me. The big 110 on it made my blood pressure skyrocket. The woman had an amused look. "Remember what I told you before?" Was she going to call me out for getting her for free? Just as I was trying to figure out how to handle it, there was a sudden knock on the door. "Ben, I know you're in there. Open the door, I need to talk to you." It was Tina. More trouble. I looked at the door, completely lost. Tina kept yammering outside. Linda lost her patience. With a small frown, she just opened the door. "What is it, you have to bother us now?" Tina paused for 2 seconds. "And why are you here? Didn't Grandpa say Ben was here?" Laying there in the bed, hopelessness enveloped me. Though I hadn't heard Linda's reply, I could already foresee the coming storm in my mind. Until, "Aunt, is your boyfriend inside?" Tina recollected that phone call. "Grandpa might have mixed it up. I'll go ask at Ben's place then." She smiled, understanding. "Sorry to disturb you and Uncle. Give my regards to him." Not until Linda closed the door did I realize what happened. Had Tina's cluelessness saved us from this unavoidable crisis? Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Linda walking over. Hastily, I picked up my phone, trying to busy myself, avoiding the previous topic. "What are you doing?" I bit my lip, buying medicine. Linda raised an eyebrow. "What kind?" I hesitated for a couple of seconds, not hiding. "Birth control." A soft laugh came from above me. Her lazy eyes, the words full of indifference. Why would I need it? I clenched the blanket tightly, annoyed. Because of me. "What's with you?" With Linda's calm expression, I felt a strange sense of grievance. No longer wanting to argue, I silently looked down, continuing to search for the pills. The phone was taken and tossed aside. The woman brushed my slightly red eyes, her voice unusually gentle. "Stop worrying. I've taken it." I was stunned, trying to recall that part. Linda thought I didn't believe her, patiently added, "Every time." Even pointed at the trash can, jokingly asking, "Want to check?" I didn't actually look, but finally recalled bits and pieces. With Linda's grandfather's special aroma, I acted like I'd never seen a woman. Linda dodging my kisses, gently coaxing. "Wait a bit." I chased her, mumbling, "Can't wait." "Linda." She took a deep breath, reached for something on the bedside table, touched her ear, asking, "No more kisses?" Reason in Linda's eyes broke. "Can't let you smell this again." I was confused. A moment later, just before she kissed me again, she explained, "I can't handle it." So much embarrassment had numbed me. So when Linda asked me to carry her to the bathroom, I hesitated a bit. Then she stretched out her hands. "Well, be my guest." A soft chuckle escaped from Linda. She nestled into my neck as I walked to the bathroom. You're welcome." That day Linda asked me again if I'd be responsible for her. Noticing my indecision, she didn't press. Just said, "Your father's company is having cash flow problems, and Tina called off the engagement. She will find a new match for you soon." The next morning, on my way home, I was mulling over Linda's words. However, when I saw Tina downstairs, I temporarily put that matter aside. Fatigue was evident in the girl's eyes. Her voice was colder than the morning mist. "Explain why you didn't answer all night, didn't come home. Where were you?" I looked away. "None of your business." After leaving the hotel yesterday afternoon, I was too exhausted to deal with my dad, so I went to a nearby apartment I owned. No need to explain all this to Tina. When she approached, the chill in her scent was even more profound. "None of my business?" She gave a faint smile. "Ben, we haven't told anyone about calling off the engagement. Officially, I'm still your fiancé. You spending the night out isn't my business?" Tina spoke with a familiarity that came from the previous life. This had happened before. During my internship, I had to accompany my boss on a last-minute business trip for a day. No one was notified. On the third day, I saw Tina outside my apartment building. She still had lipstick stains on her neck, but she still furiously questioned me about where I had been. The woman before me overlapped with my memories. I looked at her in disbelief. "You took Eric away publicly, even before canceling the engagement, right?" I said. Tina stared at me for a long time, clearly annoyed. She coldly smirked. "Do you know what annoys me the most about you?" Her gaze was both scrutinizing and judgmental. "It's your petty jealousy and how you don't even bother to hide it. Don't you think you are being totally obnoxious, Ben?" I was taken aback for a moment. I was just stating facts to refute her and didn't expect she'd see me as jealous. Tina shook her head, stepping back to maintain a safe distance. "I thought maybe I misunderstood you. But now, even if you didn't do that, you still get jealous. You're really no match for Eric." With that, she left, giving me a disappointed look. "Tina," I called out to her as she was about to leave. "Even if I am jealous, it's not for you." You really are full of yourself. Stop showing up again. If you come near me again, I'll call the cops. I turned and headed back to my apartment without looking back. Jealousy and losing control. I'd heard this many times before. Tina's attitude towards me had changed from harsh blame to casual mockery. Standing back and looking at it now, devoid of any emotion towards Tina, I realized I'd wasted too much unnecessary time tangled up with her. After that day, Tina unilaterally announced the cancellation of our engagement. Linda was right. The next day, my dad couldn't wait to introduce me to a new marriage prospect. Initially, I planned to just meet them briefly, but things took a surprising turn from the start. Honestly, I'm kinda into your type. In the restaurant, my date, Lily, began candidly, but I couldn't say anything. If I admitted that her $30,000 shoes didn't mask her odor and it put me off eating, she'd probably leave right away. Then my dad would totally chew me out. As I was contemplating, a familiar voice responded to her. Who do you like? I instinctively looked up. Linda had a scarf draped over her arm. Her wavy hair casually streamed down her chest, slightly messy. There was a kind of leisurely elegance cultivated by the social scene. She looked at Lily with a not-so-friendly smile. Linda, what a coincidence. I'm actually on a blind date. Lily stood up quickly. Almost in an instant, a heated gaze landed on me. If Linda's gaze could be translated into temperature, I'd probably already be sizzling. Linda, would you like to join us for a meal? Lily asked politely, seeing that Linda hadn't left. Unexpectedly, she really did sit down. You guys continue. Pretend I'm not here. Linda fiddled with her fork, casually pushing around the broccoli on her plate. I nodded at Lily. Overall, I'm pretty satisfied with you. But there's one thing I really care about and want to ask. She hesitated and awkwardly said, Is it still your first time? I was dumbfounded and asked, What? She smacked her lips, a little embarrassed. Because I kinda care about that. Linda halted her movements. My hand under the table clenched tightly. A sense of overexposed discomfort seemed to flood my senses. I was about to speak when in the corner of my eye, I noticed Linda's fork hitting the table lightly. What's wrong? Linda? Not appetizing? I can order something else for you. Lily offered. Linda laughed, her tone icy. No, I think you're pretty interesting. How does someone who sleeps with different men every night have the audacity to expect a guy to stay pure for you until you're ready? Lily's face reddened, yet she insisted she was right. Linda, you don't get it. His family's practically selling him off. I'm lowering my standards because he looks decent. To be honest, even if I demand he follows traditional wifely virtues after marriage, Ben would have no choice but to agree. I quietly listened, reaching for the soup in front of me. My next action might be to pour that soup over her head. I'd held back all evening. This was my breaking point. Linda seemed to sense my thoughts and moved the soup away. Linda placed soup in front of Lily and, laughing, pointed at it. Look at yourself. Can you even see who you really are? In the next moment, she unexpectedly pushed Lily's head down to the edge of the soup bowl. Linda's eyes reflected a rebellious air. He doesn't even think I'm good enough for him. So who are you? You're just maintaining appearances by clinging to your family's outdated glory. Finally, Linda released Lily, who had choked on the soup. She sat back in her chair, calmly wiping the soup splashes off her hand. Without looking up, she gave an order. Get out. Tell your dad to come explain to me himself tomorrow. She didn't lift her eyes to look at me until the person left. At that moment, I was resting my chin on my hand, watching her with a grin. She snorted in a somewhat awkward way. What are you laughing at? You just slept with me, and now you're off to meet someone new. I haven't even confronted you yet. Hearing her mention that made me feel guilty. Without Lily's foot odor around, my appetite came back. I ate and drank a lot. By the time it was time to pay, I was already tipsy. It's fine, Linda. I'll pay. I will. I was taking the tradition of insisting on paying to the next level. The waiter was professional, smiling politely. No need, Mr. Ben, Miss Linda always handles the bill. I paused, blinking, my payment code still on my phone. Linda didn't give me time to react and came over to me. Can you walk on your own? I gave it some thought, then expanded my bravery to the max. If you hold me while walking, I might grudgingly agree. Linda chuckled softly, took my hand in public, and confidently walked away. Her familiar sweet scent filled the air around me, clearing the tiredness Lily had left me with. My nose was practically against Linda's collarbone. Involuntarily, I leaned in and took another whiff. Linda glanced down at me, her voice calm. Are you being affectionate because I've forgiven you? She said that, but she held my hand a bit tighter. I was drowsily by her side until a familiar voice interrupted us. Aunt, what are you doing with Ben? Tina was watching me with a complex expression, Eric beside her. Linda gave her a quick glance. Do I need to report who I'm with to you? Tina pressed her lips tightly, her eyes landing on our hands. Ben's drunk. Isn't he? That's just him. A bit of alcohol and he's out. And I know him well. Let me take care of him. He'll go crazy and trouble you otherwise. Hearing this, I jolted awake a bit, looking at Linda, who had no intention of letting go, and then at Tina. Our eyes met. Tina's expression suddenly darkened. My false bravado disappeared instantly, and I desperately held onto Linda's arm, whispering, You can't hand me over to her. Linda laughed, her chest vibrating, then simply said 2 words, Let's go, and walked off. The next memory link connects to the following morning. I rubbed my groggy head, going downstairs while mentally preparing myself. I was ready for my dad to scold me, but seeing him calm and friendly was scarier than facing a ghost. Ben, did you sleep well? I didn't dare speak, not a word. My son, doing so well, even marrying someone top tier. I paused for a moment, then asked cautiously, Do you plan on having me marry that 57-year-old Mr. Wong? Dad's smile froze. Being with Linda has made you changes from silly to endearing. It's different. I was stunned. Suddenly, forgotten memories rushed back. Last night, Linda took me home, where I struggled with the seatbelt. Linda leaned in to help, and I happened to look up. My lips brushed against hers. Linda didn't move, her eyes slowly dropping to below my nose. In that small space, the sound of our breathing was amplifying the tension. Just when I thought Linda might do something, she pulled back with a mocking smile. I won't give you another chance to benefit from me without commitment. Fueled by alcohol, I was in awe of her lips, feeling defeated. I still remember, she was quite a good kisser. To prevent any kisses, Linda supported me very reservedly into the house. My dad was surprised to see Linda, but quickly covered it with a warm smile. I couldn't recall much of what was said between them. The one thing I did remember was Linda leaning into my ear, whispering so only we could hear. Marry me and I'll let you kiss me. As if worried I'd refuse, she sweetened the deal. Kiss as much as you want. Is she treating me like a fool? The mention of marriage brought a moment of clarity. The Linda who sent Lily packing was making my heart flutter. Plus, Dad pushing for a beneficial marriage was inevitable for the family. Ultimately, in front of everyone, in a moment of rare clarity, I agreed to marry Linda. Yes, it was an alliance at first. With the little fondness I felt, I still saw it as a marriage of convenience. A decision made after weighing the pros and cons. Much later, I would realize everything Linda did for me was out of love. Maybe if I had a choice or if I realized sooner, things might have been different. But the outcome would remain the same. In any given scenario, I ended up falling in love with Linda and marrying her. That's constant. Linda's grandpa, maybe feeling guilty, hadn't contacted me since the room key mix-up. When Linda and I set our engagement date, he finally called. Said to join him for lunch. I found Tina was there too. Linda was still on her way. Linda's grandpa, a bit clumsy, met me a few steps from the door. Haha. Ben, you're here. Ha ha ha. Watching him force a laugh, I was speechless. When it was just Tina and me in the living room, she frowned and spoke. You're here to discuss your engagement today? I nodded, not wanting to say more. Ben, do you think you're being fair? I could hear the irritation in her voice. I looked at her, totally confused. I admit it, I'm starting to kind of like you now. But pushing me to marry you with family pressure? That's just gonna backfire, you know? I was too shocked to even respond. Tina got up, brushing off her hoodie, still acting all high and mighty. Forcing me to marry won't work. If I don't show up to the engagement party, you're the one stuck in an awkward spot. I opened my mouth in silence, then closed it. We were at Linda's place. Wouldn't it be rude if I just started cussing her out now? Tina's pride finally cracked at dinner. The sound of chopsticks hitting the floor startled her. What did you guys say? Auntie and Ben are engaged? She let out a ridiculous laugh. Come on, you're kidding, right? They're not even in the same generation. Linda just nodded like it was obvious. Soon, you won't be in the same generation either. Better start practicing calling him uncle. I was debating whether to give Tina a wise and forgiving elder look when she suddenly pushed her bowl away and stormed to her room in a sulk. Later that night, Linda had a bit to drink. As soon as we got in the car, she asked the driver to raise the partition. Instantly, my alarm bells went off. But then Tina, who had chased us, interrupted with a testing question. Are you sure you want to marry him, Auntie? Linda lazily leaned back against her seat, rolling down the window. Tina glanced past her, right at me. There was a mocking gleam in her eyes, like she could already see me failing miserably. Auntie, you might not know this, but the guy you're about to marry used to be absolutely obsessed with me. Linda kept her head down, couldn't read her emotions. For some reason, I felt a bit nervous. Tina picked up on my reaction and laughed, her tone even more leisurely. Ben has this notebook, scribbled edge to edge with every little thing about his crush on me. Auntie, you sure you want to marry a guy who had a thing for your niece? The hand I had resting on the seat tightened with every word she said. Tina was Linda's niece, after all. The chance of her siding with me was way less than siding with Tina, especially after Tina embarrassed her like that. Linda draped one hand over the window ledge, lifting her wrist slightly to signal me to look at Tina. When our eyes met, Tina wore a triumphant smile. See, Ben, Auntie's just telling you to leave and come with me. There's no way she'd choose you. Linda ignored her and asked me, did you hear all of her insults just now? I wasn't sure about her intentions, so I just nodded silently. A shadow shaded my view. Linda leaned in, a barely visible smile at her lips. Her voice was hypnotic. Ben, don't chicken out. Insult her back. Stunned, I looked up at her in disbelief. I'm here not just to stand up for you, but also to give you the confidence to do whatever you want. She narrowed her eyes slightly and raised a brow. Like now, wouldn't it feel better to just give it back to her yourself? She won me over. Like I was possessed, I leaned out the window. But before I said anything, I turned to Linda for reassurance. You really got my back? Her nod was almost a whisper. I pressed my lips together, my gaze firm on Tina. The hand resting against the window balled into a fist. After a moment of eerie silence, go to hell, Tina. The biggest regret of my life is that notebook. Tomorrow, I'm getting a new one and filling it with every curse I can think of for you. Tina's face changed, not expecting that reaction from Linda. She glared at me, severe as a storm. Even as the car drove away, I was lost in the rush, feeling like I'd been vindicated. I didn't realize how close I had leaned towards Linda just to snap at Tina. Now I was practically right next to her. Feel better now? Her amused smile had a playful, almost teasing undertone. That question was loaded. Was she asking about the satisfaction of cussing out Tina or the way I was sitting now? Just as I tried to casually sit back, the driver hit the brakes. I almost yelped. I pulled my hand away as fast as I could, but she wouldn't let me, pushing me right back into her arms. Linda was settling the score. A warm breath lingered on my palm, tickling. It wasn't just my palm tingling. It was my heart too. Her low voice slipped through my fingers. I pulled back, meeting her eyes, unsure. Linda looked amused. Why not find another spot to continue? Moonlight traced the outline of her eyes, crisp and classic like snowy pines in winter. The erratic thumping of my heart easily shattered my feigned calm. I knew she had me. Before I even realized, I was leaning into her shoulder. Our eyes naturally drifted down to each other's lips. Until they met, I was trying to recall every detail from that day we kissed in a haze. But maybe because Linda had been drinking, this time she seized control immediately. She cupped my chin, forcefully prying open my mouth, adjusting angles now and then, or briefly pulling away, tilting her head to the other side before re-engaging. Midway through, I had a flicker of clarity. I tried pushing her shoulder away. The driver can't hear us. Linda whispered, slightly out of breath. Let's keep going. And then she pulled me back into her intoxicating hold. Tina didn't end up with Eric. This news came straight from her when she found me at a cafe working on a group project. The chair across from me was pulled out, and someone sat down. I heard from Grandpa, you and Linda are planning to get hitched soon? It's the first time I heard Tina use her aunt's full name, so I glanced up at her. There was a sadness in her eyes that no amount of good looks could mask. I had a dream once, Ben. She chuckled and shook her head. In the dream, I misunderstood you and did a bunch of things that hurt you. The only good part was that you still liked me in the dream. She lowered her eyes, a smile mixed with bitterness. Turns out, dreams really do go the opposite of reality. I haven't even done anything to you in real life, but you already don't like me. I didn't have the energy to argue with her about pointless stuff anymore. Suddenly, I remembered something and pulled a ring with my initial carved into it from my bag. I was about to return it to Tina. She looked at the ring and said calmly, so you two even bought couple rings. A simple sentence. Yet, I felt like I didn't understand. What? Tina said, last time, I saw a matching women's ring at Linda's place, but didn't expect the men's one to be in your hand. It felt like I was underwater, suffocated. And her words came from a distance, pulling me into even more distant memories. In a past life, I had a feeling Tina was falling for Eric. I was upset but didn't want to get in the way. Just as I was planning to ask her, I got this gift box. Inside was this ring. I thought it was a gift from Tina. Never considered it might be from Linda. That night, when Tina came to me, I was so thrilled I hugged her and boldly confessed, Tina, I really like you. Tina didn't push me away. After a pause, she hugged me back. I know, she said. And you? I lifted my head from her embrace, hopeful. Tina pressed me back into her arms so I couldn't see her face. I never said I didn't like you, she replied ambiguously. That subtlety was lost on me at the time, thanks to my high dopamine levels. If it weren't for that ring, we probably wouldn't have gotten engaged. Ben? Tina's question brought me back to reality. My gaze fell on the ring again. I slipped it onto my finger. What did you call me? Tina didn't notice me laying a trap for her. Ben. I gave her a smile I hadn't shown in a while. Remember to start calling me uncle-in-law soon. Okay? Without a word, Tina left. I gave a nod to her retreating figure, satisfied she wouldn't come back to pester me. I didn't ask Linda about the ring right away, but there was a nagging question I couldn't shake. If she gave me the ring, why not say something? I stared at the ring, digging through past memories of Linda. Then it hit me. The day I confessed to Tina, I noticed a Cullinan facing us. It was too dark then to see inside before it drove away into the quiet night. Not long ago, I saw an identical Cullinan in Linda's garage. I thought, she's not silent. She saw me in love, so she didn't want to intervene. Until the day of the engagement, Linda put on the ring. The engagement party went smoothly, except for something a friend from my internship said. His wife's 7 or 8 years older than him. He gave me this look and said, Bro, cut your wife some slack. All right? Then he patted my shoulder. Confused, I looked at him. Just a heads up. Older than you means she ages faster too. You know? He whispered. As women age, they get tired easier. Linda didn't let me drink that night, turning down every toast. Starry-eyed over my fiancé, my admiration hit a peak, only to drop flat. In Linda's apartment, she had me pinned on the couch, lightly tapping my face. So, how are you claiming she's old? Her voice, soaked in alcohol, was husky and sexy. That's when I realized she overheard everything. I didn't mean it. I protested in a tiny voice. I was gonna get you some supplements. If I knew that'd nearly cost me my life, I'd never mouth off. Later, I had no clue when or how we moved from the couch to the bedroom. I buried my face in the pillow. Her hand, with the matching ring, lay over mine. Our intertwined fingers made the rings clink softly. You like them young? My voice was hoarse from shouting. Desperation had me shaking my head. No, no, I only like you. Like a roller coaster coming to a sudden stop. Everything felt strangely still. Really? Linda stared at me. Feeling a little shy, I took ages to meet her clear, slightly anxious eyes. Sniffing, I reached up slowly, wrapped my arms around her neck, and answered, Really? Linda, today's the day I'm sure I like you. Not precisely true. Looking back, I liked her yesterday, a month ago, and had crush moments. But today I voiced it out, so I chose today as my first day of liking her. Linda's long and slightly greedy kiss was her response. Between breaths, she softly admitted, Mine started way earlier. The next afternoon, I was in the study, flipping open a new journal I'd prepared. I wrote down yesterday's date. Then, for fun, I wrote, The first day of liking Linda. Almost lost my life. High danger level. Planning to reduce my affection by 0.1% today. If she lets me sleep peacefully, the affection scale can go up by 10%. A sliver of sunlight made its way from my ring finger to my index finger. I finally put the pen down. Before closing the journal, something came to mind. I turned to the front page. Carefully, I wrote a few words. Moments of heart flutter.